I'm Stephanie.
I'm Meredith.
Welcome to This Is My Circus.
I always sit up straighter. This chair is different. It feels good.
Well, that's the one I was using. I just
And you
shifted
just slid it over here?
Yeah.
Okay. The lumbar support is amazing.
Well, that's fabulous. I like my crisscross applesauce.
I love your chair.
Yes, I do too. The only thing, like I said when I texted you, it doesn't have wheels, so that's
Yeah.
a little sucky. But other than that, like I love it.
I'm sure you could finagle some wheels on there somehow.
No.
No, not even gonna try.
No.
You don't want to like me to bring my hot glue gun next time, and we'll stick them.
And I like fall. I end up breaking like a leg or something.
I need you to put cameras and just keep them on all the time because that would probably happen, and we need to rehash that.
Yes.
Rex, he's in reverse right now. He's going backwards. Yeah, seriously. Oh, he just turned around. I guess that spot was narrow and he didn't think he could make it, so he was just backing up.
Back that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You's a big fine doggy, won't you back? He said, okay, here's my toy. Oh my gosh. Okay, that was the Rex moment of the.
And we got our song in.
We got our song in. We did, and I'm gonna play. So
speaking of songs, if you, because Dylan and I had discussed this the other day, if you went to karaoke, what would your go-to song be?
Oh, let me think on it. What would yours be?
There's several.
Okay,
like, I've got like a playlist of
like none of them.
I would do a concert. It wouldn't be like a song.
Yeah. Okay. None of mine would be good.
Yeah.
But they would have so much life to them. I'm still. You know what I could do really good? No diggity.
No way.
Have you seen the video of the dude doing it in the airport? Oh my gosh. So it's like there's a layover or there's the plane's broke or something, I don't know, and they're all like in that area where you're getting ready to load, and he's got the mic and he's standing by like the little podium thing where they like check your tickets and stuff, and it's like this middle-aged white guy in like flip-flops and like cargo shorts, and he's like, sure to get down, good lord, and he's like doing it, and then he's like pretending like he's on an escalator. It is so great. It's like 2 songs already in 2 minutes.
I would want to do like a crowd pleaser, like where everybody knew the songs and they can sing along, like they can join in. So
there's a lot, like I Will Survive is always a good one, but you want something for everyone.
So I would do Britney Spears' version of I Love Rock and Roll.
Okay, that's a good one.
But it has to be the Britney version.
Yeah. Of course. No diggity.
Have you ever done karaoke?
Never. Have you?
I did once.
What'd you sing?
It was a Meatloaf song. I was in college. I was not 21 and snuck into the bar. These older ladies were singing, and me and my friend went and stole the microphone. And
rude.
It was so rude. I can't imagine what these people thought. But we were quite intoxicated. And then my brother's friends ended up being there, and they all know like how old I am because I'm 5 years younger than my brother. Did they get you
kicked out?
No, they're like, you're not 21. And I'm like, way to blow up the spot. Like,
right.
Dude.
Right.
And they're like, oh, like, well, do you guys want to drink?
Yeah. Well, actually, thank you.
I asked Dylan this, and like he went country, and I was surprised.
I could see.
He listens to a lot of country.
Jackson does too.
Yeah, and I like country.
I do too. Yeah, I'm hit or miss with it. Just depends on what it is. But Jackson really does, and like he'll get in these moods where he's playing these songs. One of his favorites is called Grandpa's Never Die. And it is not a happy song, but it's just talking about how he wishes that he could learn to drive again and he could learn this again and and when he sings it, does Dylan do this? He puts on his accent really thick.
Yes.
It's talking about, I wish I could have a cold Bud Light. And Jackson sings it like that.
Yes. 100%.
We should do that sometime though.
Oh my God, that'd be so funny.
It would be funny.
I would have fun.
I think people would enjoy that.
Well, I think we would enjoy it.
Yeah. I think, no, they definitely would. I mean, how could they not? Is Dylan back in town or is he back and gone again?
He's back and he leaves on Tuesday. So we just watched a movie last night.
What'd you watch?
The new Ghostbusters.
Brian tried to get me to watch that. I was not in a Ghostbusters mood, so he put something else on and I fell asleep. So apparently I was just in a moment.
We went and saw Twisters, my mom and I.
Yes. Oh, and you got stormed on.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so and I told you I normally fall asleep in movies.
Yes.
At the theater. So there was like nobody in the theater, right?
Really?
It wasn't many people. And this family, I guess, like 4 people, 5 people maybe. And you pick your seats.
Yes. Yes.
Why in an empty movie theater, they picked the seats right next to us.
I would never.
And I'm like, why?
I would give like a courtesy row or at least a courtesy space if it was a packed. Yeah.
So then the lady like is eating popcorn, right? And like there's a quiet way to eat popcorn.
Right.
And then there's a loud way to eat popcorn. And like everything this woman did, I was like,
Uh-huh.
So she doesn't turn her phone ringer off. And every 30 seconds there is an alert going off. Ring doorbell like that.
Yeah.
Like whatever, like the little twinklies.
Rude.
So I was getting more mad and more mad and more mad. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, my mom like looked at me and I'm like, so I finally like it went off again, and I was like, "Can you turn off your phone ringer?"
You said
and
that.
I was just like that. I was like I sat up straight, and I was like,
right.
I was like that close to like taking her purse and throwing it across the room.
What did she say?
And she's like, "Excuse me," and I was like, "It's either your phone or somebody that you're with's phone. Turn off the phone ringer." And she's like, and she like goes in her phone, picks it up, doesn't turn off the freaking ringer because it goes off 30 seconds later.
She never turned it off?
No.
So see, in situations like this, so in my mind, I'm thinking, well, you guys can move. You'd still be able to hear it, but you can move. But I dig my heels in.
Yeah, me too.
And I am not moving.
Yeah.
And I am going to be
I kept looking at her.
Oh, yeah.
Off, and I was like,
yeah.
Seriously?
Uh-huh. Yeah. I need you to separate that. How was the movie?
The movie was good.
Okay. Yeah, you had seen the original?
Yeah.
So this was just another. Was it just like
an updated version of it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was good. I mean,
good.
I mean, I enjoyed it.
I was looking for the name of that movie that we started to watch. We watched The Beekeeper a few weeks ago. It was pretty good too. It's an action-y, killy one. I like those. I like to see people die.
We do like true crime.
I don't think anybody is surprised by my comment.
Well, yeah.
No. So I have a lot to discuss.
Okay, same.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do the book.
Okay, get that up.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So the book we read was called Did You Hear About Kitty Karr?
Yes. And that was by Crystal Smith Paul. A multi-generational saga that traverses the glamour of old Hollywood and the seductive draw of modern-day showbiz. When Kitty Karr Tate, a white icon of the silver screen, dies and bequeaths her multi-million-dollar estate to the St. John sisters, 3 young, wealthy black women, it prompts questions, lots of questions. A celebrity in her own right, Elise St. John would rather focus on sorting out Kitty's affairs than deal with the press. But what she discovers in one of Kitty's journals rocks her world harder than any other brewing scandal could. And between a cheating fiancé and the fallout from a controversial social media post, there are plenty. The truth behind Kitty's ascent to stardom from her beginnings in the segregated South threatens to expose a web of unexpected family ties, debts owed, and debatable crimes that could, with one pull, unravel the all-American fabric of the St. John sisters and those closest to them. As Elise digs deeper into Kitty's past, she must also turn the lens upon herself, confronting the gifts and burdens of her own choices and the power that the secret of the dead hold over the living. Whew.
So, as we talked about when we initially threw this book out there, very much like Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, that vibe.
Yeah. And I thought they were going to tie it in. Like,
oh, okay. I didn't think about that.
I forgot what was the family name in that book, but it was like Saint something.
You're right, like Saint Clair or something.
But yeah, and I was like, are they going to tie this in? Like somehow?
I didn't even think about that, but that would have been really cool.
Yeah.
But definitely that vibe. Yeah. That back and forth, that old Hollywood, the
passing for white.
Right.
Yeah. The ethnic backgrounds.
Yep, yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, definitely had that vibe. I liked this book.
I did too.
Okay.
I liked the past
totally
better than like I couldn't really like vibe with the current chapters.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. Like when you were just reading that and you were talking about somebody cheating on her, I was like, I don't even remember that. I loved those past pieces so much with her upbringing and then her social life and all those things.
Yeah. So I could not vibe with the newer portion of the book.
I tried to, and I wanted to. Like I wanted to, really.
See, here's my problem is I kept picturing the Kardashian sisters.
Oh, did you?
While I was reading it, I don't know why. Like that was just in my head. I don't know. Like it was just
you couldn't kind of get past that point to make them.
And I don't know why that was in my head, but it was like I guess I read like I was expecting the spoiled like socialite type of whatever. And that's what I just kept seeing. And I was like,
yeah. No, I see where you might have drawn that comparison, but I wasn't as into the storyline from the past was way more fascinating to me than her getting cheated on and throwing a party and all those other things.
Right.
Which was the point. I mean, that was the point. How cool that some of it was in Charlotte.
I know.
I didn't know that when we did it. So she grew up in, was it near Asheville? Somewhere in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And every weekend, main character, we'll just call her Kitty, she went with her mom every Sunday for several hours to Charlotte to shop. And I mean, that was neat to me, like picturing that.
Right. And the only reason that they could was because she was white passing.
Yes.
And so that meant her mom could go with her into the stores and they could go to the movies and do stuff because she was with a white passing child.
Absolutely. And basically their ruse when they were out was that the daughter, Kitty, who was white passing, her mom was acting as like her nanny in that moment. So whenever some situation would arise, it was basically they would defer to the child.
Right.
Because the mom was African American and they just treated her as such as in the time.
Right.
And I hope we don't come off as insensitive with this, trying to talk about some of these things.
Yeah.
That's not our goal. And if you're listening, y'all know us well enough to know that we're just trying to talk about a freaking book. How neat was it though? The Charlotte thing was really cool. And I also thought it was neat the way they touched on a lot of historical events.
Yes.
They did a lot about Emmett Till. And it reminded me so much of what happens today is they were talking about Emmett Till and then all of a sudden something else happened. Oh, James Dean died. And it was like the spotlight just shifted. And it's like that happens a lot now. That still happens.
Yeah.
You know, something will happen and we're like, well, we need to come to the bottom of this. And then all of a sudden there's another scandal or a blow up or something else and everything just shifts.
Yeah.
That really jumped out to me there.
Did you catch, because I didn't, I went back and listened to a couple of chapters that Rebecca in present time, the publicist or the best friend or whatever, was Claire's granddaughter.
I did not catch that. And I don't even think when they first said it, it didn't click. I never saw it coming.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, when they were like, well, she's my grandma or something, there was a statement. I was like, wait, what? And I thought about going back to listen. I actually did, but I didn't make it that far back into the book.
Yeah.
Just like in Seven Husbands, so many strings that were connected through so many different ways.
Yeah. I am so mad at Hazel, which was Kitty's mom.
Yeah.
For sending her away and never speaking to her again. I
know.
am so angry. Oh. I do think that she probably knew she had the cancer before Kitty left. And she did not want Kitty to.
You think so?
I do. Because they said she was slowing down. She was,
But I just attributed that to her age. You know, she was just.
I figured if Kitty was just graduating high school, the mom had to be around our age.
I'm slowing down. I'm just kidding. God, not really.
It made her so much older in the book. But I'm like, well, our kids are about to go to graduate high school.
Yeah, you're right.
So I think she was sick before and she sent her away and didn't want her to deal with that.
Right.
And so I get it kind of, but I'm so mad at her and I was so mad in those couple of chapters.
Yeah. I was upset with her too. I felt like there was a better way that she could have done that. She could have told her, prepped her, not just send her. And then to send her away, never speak to her again. And then
nobody tells her
nobody told her that she passed, that she died, and then to like send her to live with these people and not even
tell her.
Right, it gave her no heads up. And I mean that's different time, different age. Making a phone call wasn't the same. There's not phones or whatever, but still, that's your mama. And I wanted to look up. She sent $1,000 with her. I wanted to look up to what that translates to. Like how much money is that?
The other part that I was like, oh my gosh, was that Kitty's husband knew the baby was still alive.
Yes.
And for a long time.
For several years.
That the child was, I never said a word. I never said anything. But, okay, so here's my question.
Okay.
If she, as he said, you should have told me and I would have accepted it. Do you think he would have accepted it? Do you think that he would have accepted that she was not white and that their child was not white?
No.
I don't either. And so...
And not that he necessarily did anything to make me think that he was, a racist or anything like that. I just think it was the times, unfortunately, and the norm for that to to not be the norm.
Right. I think in the house he would have accepted it. I don't think for to go public
Right.
with it he would have accepted it.
Right.
And I just can't believe he knew for that long.
Right.
And didn't say a word.
Right. And just for reference, $1,000 in I just did 1950 would be $14,000 today. So that's what which is a good chunk of change to send somebody. I mean,
and she had a place to stay.
Yeah.
She didn't have to pay rent, anything like that. So,
what'd you think about the roommate, Emma?
Emma was a new name.
Emma's a new name. And that did get confusing. I never got twisted on that, but they did change a lot of the names as they shifted their roles from black to white.
Mhm.
So that, if you're reading the book, if you haven't read it yet, just be on your P's and Q's.
So I was surprised when we heard the story when she did get there, and when Kitty started hanging out with Claire, and Claire revealed that, well, Emma needs to chill with us, and this is what really happened.
Yeah.
And Emma did not tell Kitty that.
Right.
So that was weird.
And it was really weird, especially because, like, up until, these girls almost grew up together, at least every Sunday for a few hours. And then they lived together for a while, and everything was, sunshine and rainbows. And then it's like,
it wasn't, though, like, because Kitty was like, well, can I go out dancing with you? And she was like, no, you were not coming out with me. My thought was that she was trying to get a man.
Yeah.
She was trying to get married.
Yeah, competitive.
She, and Kitty is this beautiful, beautiful woman.
Right.
So if she wasn't secure in herself enough, or all of her friends are getting married,
Right.
she was not having a beautiful, younger.
Right. I was like, well, just go yourself, Kitty. You're a grown up, but
no, she made the right choices. She
did.
She went to work, and she stayed after, and she
always had almost a humble spirit.
Yes.
Like she told everybody thank you, and they got on to her about that. These other women that were passing as well would be like, don't be so nice. Right. And she never shifted with that, though. She kept being polite and being nice. You know what was interesting to me too, this was another part in the book. So we meet a lot of other women, and a lot are passing and a lot are not, and a lot of them are sisters, and one will pass and one will not.
Yeah.
And what I thought was really, really interesting in the book was when they were talking about how, so say if a white woman walked into a room of men, the men would stop talking.
Mm-hmm.
But if a black woman did, they're almost invisible because they just didn't see them as people, really. Right. So they were a lot of times the ones with power.
Right.
Because they were hearing all these things and seeing all these things. And I thought that was really astute. Right. Like, that really jumped out to me, that, like, good.
Yeah.
Good.
How did you feel about their secret society, call it, or whatever, and using all the women as they did? And
right.
Like they were basically like, you need to go meet this governor or whomever,
right,
and seduce him and marry him,
right,
and then you're going to control him.
Yeah.
I had such mixed feelings because I felt like it was like all so forced that the members didn't necessarily have a choice of who they got to love.
Well, and it's not like they really chose to join this unit. They were called units of people. But especially with Kitty, she was sent there and like, okay, this is what you're doing. And this is your job now, basically, is to be in the society and pair up with somebody. So on one hand, I'm like, oh, that's tough. Yeah. Like, that's like tough in a good way. Yeah. Like Jackson would say tough, like wait, use what you got for the good of your cause. Right. And, if that takes you making these connections and whatever, then go for it. But the other side of me, like you said, there was never really a chance of anything other than it being a business deal on their end.
Right.
And that sucked.
Yeah. And then at the end, when there was all the raids, because all the money was being filtered to the Black Panthers.
Yep. I didn't see any of that coming.
I didn't either.
And I wish I would have paid more attention to when they were, because that was just a lot of like filler when they're having a meeting or they're sending their money. Like that was a lot of just filler for me on how they were spending their time. I was not focused on that to really, and that was probably might have been the point of the book.
Yeah.
Just to like catch you by surprise.
When Kitty's husband told her the dollar amount that she had donated to this foundation. And my jaw hit the floor.
I know. It was a lot.
It was a lot. I loved the book. I loved the Kitty part of the book.
I liked the book too. I liked it a lot. So this definitely would be like probably an 8 or 9 for me.
Same.
Pretty much covered it all.
Well, what's our next book?
So our next one is Mother-Daughter Murder Night.
And I'm reading it right now.
Are you?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so it's by Nina Simon.
Uh-huh.
And again, just trying to go through the list and find what's available for us. So that is going to be next. So we have not recorded since Biden dropped out.
Yes.
And I know we don't do politics,
Yeah.
but that's a huge deal. So we
Yes.
got to at least mention it. And Kamala Harris is potentially being,
I think that they solidified it, didn't they?
I don't know. That's how much I pay attention to
Yeah.
politics. But did you happen to notice, were you watching TV or anything when they broke in with the news that he was dropping out? So they did the whole thing, and
I saw it on TikTok or Facebook, whichever.
And I can't remember what channel it was, so because I'm sure there's different news correspondents for all the different channels, but they broke into whatever that they were doing, and you know that they'll have, you can tell when it's like somebody dialing in to, because there's nobody on site because nobody's expecting this, so it's like the news correspondents are dialing in, and you hear this woman and there's just like a baby crying in the background, like wah, wah, like it was just, and you know, work from home, trust me, I get it, but it was like this is like a huge monumental piece in U.S. history, and you're on the call with the baby crying in the background. I know,
Life.
I know, very, very much real life. So yeah, I just felt like we should mention it because it is historical, I guess, for that to have happened. Then I wanted to talk about the Olympics.
Okay.
Have you watched any of the
I have
Olympics?
not.
Okay, so
there was some like big backlash about the first.
well, and I'll give just a high level overview of it. So the opening ceremonies were Friday. It's like a 4 hour long thing, and all the teams come in and they're waving and they do the parade, and it's very artsy. It's very, there's performers. So it's in Paris, and you know Paris is kind of known for being the flamboyant and yeah, all the things. So we watched it. We watched most of it, and there was this one part that it was a bunch of cross-dressers, I guess, who were sitting at a table. And I didn't realize they were cross-dressers because a lot of them are prettier than a lot of women I know. So I wasn't even, it wasn't even in my mind that that's what it was. They carried the torch through the whole country. So the dude's carrying the torch down this runway that they're out on the side of. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. I thought that they were representing the countries because there was this one that was bigger, dressed in blue with the crown. And I was like, that was supposed to be the Statue of Liberty. And I was like, they got America being the fat one. Well, come to find out, after all this happened, and there were some other things too that were questionable in some opinions, but they said that it was mocking the Last Supper of Jesus. So I don't know what the intention was, and I'm going to get some of the words wrong, but it was the Greek gods and goddesses because the Olympics are Greek. And it was the Greek gods and goddesses, and they pointed out who everybody was supposed to be. But did you see Snoop Dogg was in the Olympics? Oh my God.
I love me some Snoop.
We talk about him every week.
I know. I love Snoop.
So he carried the torch through some town. I don't even know what town it was. But did you hear all the jokes about it? Let me pull up pictures for you. He's been interviewed a lot. He was doing some interviews with some of the parents, like Simone Biles, one of the gymnasts, like with her parents and talking to them and stuff. But let me show you this picture and I want your reaction. So this is the torch. Looks like a big old blunt. So everybody's like, how perfect for Snoop Dogg to be carrying this.
Yes, that's exactly what it looks like.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
It's been making me laugh, but how cool that he's there.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I know. Anyway, I thought that was really cool. So yeah, well, I'll be watching some of that. I'll keep you updated with all the important factors like Snoop Dogg carrying a big giant blunt.
So, you know, I love a good petty story.
Yes.
And we had said that Shannon Doherty had passed.
Yeah.
So Miss Queen Petty herself from Beyond made a list of people who are not allowed to attend her funeral.
Shut up.
I want to see the list.
I was going to ask you.
Have not released like nobody has the list. In her preparation, she made a list of people.
I need to know
who is not allowed.
I'm sure it'll come out with who's not there.
I'm sure. But amazing. Chef's kiss.
Slow clap for her.
Yes.
Chef's kiss for her. That's funny.
I want to know so bad.
I know. And I want to know why.
Oh, well, because all those people that like
I
made it
know.
sound so horrible their
Yeah.
entire career.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
You
that's
saw
funny.
that J-Lo and Ben's house is on the market and he bought a new house? Yeah, I guess they're for sure. Moving on.
I don't blame them.
I don't either. Whatever.
I don't know how much you are on like the drama talk side of TikTok.
Oh, not enough. I don't think. Wow, what's
So, and it's just like small town drama. But
okay?
it gets played out like
Yeah.
so big because it's on social media and
Oh,
like
yeah.
everybody's commenting.
Right,
So
right.
there was this one lady and she went to hibachi with her daughter, like 4-year-old daughter.
Right.
And so she's sitting at the table. Well, the next table over is her ex and with the new girlfriend, and the new girlfriend's name is Amber. So the 4-year-old is like, "Mommy, can I go say hi to Sean? He's right there, mommy, mommy." And she's like, "Okay, go ahead." But she didn't go over. Like
Yeah.
the little girl ran over, and mom says that Sean blew her off and was like, like waved and like was like, "Okay, you can go." Mom calls the little girl back, and she's like, "Just come sit down. It's okay."
Right.
You know. And they go out eating, and other family eats, and they all leave. So mom gets home and gets a message from Amber, the new girlfriend.
Yeah.
And TikTok like just went after this.
They don't like Amber.
So Amber says, and I quote, "Don't ever send your bastard child over to talk to Sean ever again, whore."
What?
That was the message this poor woman got when she got home because the 4-year-old wanted to go say hi to Sean because
To a friend.
Yeah. So,
oh my God, let me grab my keys real quick and go ahead and handle Amber.
Right?
Because...
And that's exactly how TikTok felt. But
yeah,
it gets better.
Okay.
Actually, it gets worse.
Okay.
So Taylor is the mom's name. Taylor responds with, "I'll do as I please. If you had something to say, I was right there. Or did your daddy say you couldn't?" Because I believe her parents were also out with them at the hibachi table. And Amber says, "B, I will F you the hell up. You will not do effing poop. Next time, I'll make sure to let you know and stomp your face in front of your kids. Don't F with me and my family again. Stick with your nasty string of men you keep." At one time, her man was the other
was one of
man.
the nasty men.
That was her response. So Taylor responds with, "Get help, sis."
Perfect.
And Amber responds, "Learn boundaries, slut."
I forget about calling somebody a slut.
So
I need to put that back in my repertoire.
Taylor goes to social media with this story and is like, "Oh my God." I mean, she just put it on her personal page and that somebody screenshotted it.
Of course.
Put it into like the mama drama group.
Oh, bring it.
So it goes all over. Then it goes to TikTok. And so TikTok does what TikTok does. And
yes.
Hunts this lady down and whatever.
Ooh.
So she goes silent on social media for a couple of days. And comes back with the worst explanation video.
Oh, I cannot wait.
It's so bad. Like, she should have just stayed off.
Okay.
It basically says that maybe she shouldn't have said the word bastard because the father of her children died, so, like, her kids don't have a dad either. So she was trying to get sympathy saying that baby daddy died. And people shouldn't bully her because she has no father for her children. Through the entire video, she said that her messages should not have been shared. She was blaming the other girl the entire video. Never saying like, "No, I shouldn't have done this." It was,
"You shouldn't have shared what I said."
Yes, it's exactly the whole premise.
Oh my gosh.
So bad. And then she was extra gross trying to play it off like she has all these random people messaging her like, "Oh, I got you. I got your back." The worst was she said, "Oh, and the frat guys that messaged me, oh, that was flattering." Oh my, could you not
Oh my gosh.
More disgusting.
I want to know kind of, I always have more questions that I know you don't have answers to, but.
Yeah. So the best part of this entire thing is, so I went down like the rabbit hole. Who are these people? Like, what the heck?
Right.
They have a Facebook group for this town dedicated to calling people out.
Okay.
And, I joined because I'm nosy.
Yeah.
And
did it get approved?
I did. But it's like your HOA, like, Facebook group that, like, everybody just complains.
Yeah.
that's what it is, but for the entire town. And it's
Oh my gosh.
freaking awesome.
Everybody complaining about everything.
Oh my God.
And people and the town council and why does school start so early, which is kind of what ours have turned into.
And the person who drives the silver Ford.
Get your muffler fixed.
Yeah. But it's for the entire town, and it is amazing.
That sounds like it'd be gold.
Yeah. So that was also posted in this group that they all live in this town. Yeah. Freaking awesome. I
would rather like the whole world know something about me than like the people that I see at Food Lion. Wouldn't you?
I was like, that is so awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It was such a small, like a small thing, like in their little town, but it's all over on the drama talk side. Like these little like town spats get blown up so big. I go all in. Like I'm like, next, where's the updates?
I do too. And I'm getting frustrated with some of our pages that we like on Facebook because there's so many comments I can't keep up. And then people dirty delete stuff. And I'm like, I really needed to know if you talked to him, girl. Like, I need to know what his response was after you went through his phone and found things. Never mind, I'll stop there. But yeah.
Anywho,
next. Moving on.
Chris Watts. Did you hear his update?
No.
So he wrote a letter from prison saying that his girlfriend was involved in the physical murders.
Really?
He said that once he told her he was going to kill Shanann, that she said, well, you might as well kill Bella and Cece too. And he calls her Jezebel in the letter. And he said that she helped in the acts themselves as well as the cover up. So now the question is this enough to go after her?
I don't believe that.
No.
Do you think she was?
I think she knew about it, and I think that she like knew more than
she let on. Mm-hmm. I don't remember a lot about her. I just remember the footage of him with the bodies. Mm-hmm. And she was not there.
Yeah, I think she knew a lot more than she was saying. She was acting dumb and innocent, and
yeah,
I think that she
not so much.
I always thought, like, how can you not know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I don't even know if, like, is that enough to even go after her?
I don't know how that works.
Yeah, and you would think, I don't know, there'd have to be some kind of trail.
Yeah, and I mean, because he could say anything. Mm-hmm. I mean, he could say that we helped him.
We did not.
We did not. I'll say it right here and right now. We did not. But I mean,
let me clarify before we go any further.
Let me go ahead and put this out there. We did not. I don't know how that would work.
Yeah.
Interesting, though. Oh, I see a note there that looks very cool. Marilyn Monroe.
Oh yeah. So I saw something that said, because it was about like how all these stars overdose. But a lot of people think that they don't overdose, and it's, whatever the conspiracy. So this theory said she was actually dating both the Kennedy brothers, and that they broke it off with her, and they were not answering her calls.
Okay.
And there was a wiretap transcript that this person had a copy of, and it said that there was a reporter who was doing a piece on Roswell at the time, and that Marilyn told her that she has secrets to tell regarding the president and the attorney general, and I guess what she knew about the alien stuff. So she had threatened the brothers that if they continued to ignore her, that she was prepared to do a tell-all. And a couple of days later, she was found unalived.
Wow, I believe that.
I do too.
Or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Like, I think, yeah, because her death was very suspicious.
Yeah.
She was a troubled lady. I mean, she had a lot of emotional things going on. But yeah, I believe that. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So Brian tried to tell me the other day when all that was happening with President Biden that John Kennedy was running for president. And I am fascinated with the Kennedys and like some of their stories and all that. Again, my nerd is showing, I know. But it's like, no, babe, he's not with us anymore. And he was like, yeah, he is. I was like, so John Kennedy was President Kennedy's son, and he was on a plane crash with Carolyn Bessette Kennedy and her sister that crashed like 20 years ago, maybe longer than that, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, it must have been one of President Kennedy's other sons. And I'm like, he only had him and the daughter. Like, I was like, no, no, no. And then he was like, oh, maybe it was Ted Kennedy's son or something. And I was like,
So there is a dude that's always at the Trump rallies, and there is a conspiracy theory that it is actually John.
Yeah, really?
And either he didn't really die in the plane crash,
Mm-hmm.
or like I guess he had made some kind of comment about he was gonna figure out time travel or something like that.
Oh,
And so they keep saying this one dude is him. And somebody actually just like stopped him outside of the Trump rally and was like, "Hey, John, and like he kind of like giggled and like was like, "Oh, I'll talk to you guys later," and like kind of like walked
oh,
away. But he was right behind Trump. He was like right in the shot of like the video when Trump was shot.
I'll have to watch that again and look for him.
Yeah,
That's pretty
it's
cool.
it's wild.
Have you, since you mentioned time travel, have you ever seen like some of the theories on that?
It blows my mind. Like
Me
I'm
too.
not smart enough to wrap my head around.
Me neither. But I've seen several pictures, and who knows if they're doctored or not, but it's enough to make you wonder.
I believe in all of it.
Oh, right. It could all happen. But it's like a picture of the 50s and somebody's wearing like a digital watch.
Yeah.
Or they've got like a cell phone that you can obviously tell it's a cell phone. Like stuff like that is crazy to me.
I know. I totally believe in all the things. Like I definitely believe that there's aliens. I believe in all of it. And again, maybe I'm just gullible and like easily like, I can easily believe things, but I really do think that it's all probably out there.
Right.
And I'm not smart enough to comprehend it.
Some people are very, very smart to figure out things, and the universe is really, really big.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, but I could believe a lot of things too.
You see all these videos of the glitch in the matrix, and it's some person's like frozen. Like the sky's frozen, but like
everything else is
I totally think that there is, I'm sure, multiple whatever realities and stuff
everywhere.
And, like I got stuck in this one.
But I'm glad you're here in this one.
Maybe I'm like a super villain in a different reality.
Do you have that cool, that good math ability that we talked about before? Can you do math really well?
I don't think villains are good at it.
Oh, no.
I'm like a super, super bad spy.
That's funny.
That's funny. So I think I do. I totally believe in all. My mind is not big enough to wrap my head around it.
All the conspiracies that you hear though about, from Marilyn and Kennedy's time to even now, I'm like, well, it could happen.
Yeah.
It could happen.
Yeah.
I'm not one to say nothing could.
Yeah.
Things happen all the time.
And more power to the people that can comprehend it because it's not me. I did not know this, and like it kind of goes back to we used to do these like weird laws or weird things, right? So we all know Gypsy Rose is pregnant.
Yeah.
And she says Ken is baby daddy.
Yes.
She is still married to her husband.
Oh.
In Louisiana.
Whoever she was married to will be the father of the child. Is that what you're going to say?
Louisiana law, if the mother is married to someone other than the biological father when the child was conceived or has been divorced for less than 300 days at the time of birth, the husband/ex-husband shall be presumed father unless paternity is established for biological father. So that means if Ken just up and like says peace out, disappears, the husband, Ryan, is stuck on the hook for this baby.
That's crazy. When you said that, though, I was like, oh, I remember learning this.
Yeah.
Never thought we'd talk about it with Gypsy Rose, though.
Did you see the crime scene photos have been leaked?
No. Did you see them?
I did not want to look at them.
I didn't look at them either, but some people are really twisted. They're posting like pictures of Kim Kardashian yawning, and it's like, I must be really tainted because this is how I feel about, like they didn't even affect them.
So apparently the damage to Dee Dee's body was underplayed a lot by the media.
Really? It was terrible.
It was supposed to be really, really bad. So the dude that did the acts supposedly by himself.
Yeah, right.
Whatever. He said he only stabbed her 4 times. There were 17 stab wounds. Cigarette burns to the body. Bruises all over, scratch marks. And there is things set up in the room. Like the Barney dinosaur was set next to the mom after she was unalived. And in one of the interviews, Gypsy had said that the mom always had her Barney dinosaur at night tucked in with her to go to bed. And this dinosaur was laying next to the body. in these pictures. I think that she was definitely involved in the act itself. I think that's BS if anybody doesn't believe that she was.
And then for her to set up the scene like she was putting her to sleep.
It was overkill,
Oh, right.
100%.
Yeah.
And then for the extra.
Overkill and torture.
Yeah.
I mean, the cigarette burns.
Again, I didn't see the photos. I was just going off of what some of the posts said. Yeah. But weird stuff. And I think that 100% she should still be in jail. And we need to stop glamorizing her. She is just trash.
Yes.
100% trash.
Yeah, agreed.
And nobody knows how these got released, like leaked out. And
somebody hacked the system or something. I know.
Somebody smarter than me, but
same.
It has swayed a lot of people's view on her.
Yeah.
Because it was so downplayed. And so you hear all these interviews, right? And like people are talking, and you see it in your head that she was like this teenager when this happened. She was 23 years old.
Yeah.
She wasn't a kid.
Did she know she was 23? I can't remember.
She freaking, like, I don't believe anything out of her mouth. She forgets her lies. Like, she contradicts herself in different interviews. Yeah. I think she just tries to manipulate.
I think so too, but she learned from the best. Because, I mean, that's all her mom did was manipulated people to, to feel sorry for her and to...
There's a TikToker, and she went, like, deep dive into this. I mean, it's like a 25-part series that she did, and I'll have to send it to you.
Okay.
But she, from, like, the beginning, depicts all of the things.
Oh, really?
I mean, goes, like, hardcore into why Gypsy is a cuckoo, like, sent from hell.
Yeah. Yeah. She, I agree with you. She definitely needs to be back in prison.
Yeah.
And even like the whole cover up after with all of the posts and the things.
I think because she played it so much of like, I'm the victim, I'm the victim, I'm the victim.
Yeah. She was 23 when she was arrested and put in jail or all that. Okay.
So it wasn't like she was like a young
No, I could have sworn she was younger, but again, with the way that her mom treated her and the way that everything was.
So this other chick's theory, and I watched all of them. She was just manipulating everybody. Yeah. And her mom was trying to stop her from dating all of these guys and being like a hoochie. I mean,
a slut. Let's use our new word. I'm just kidding.
But that's why they were fighting, was because mom was like, you can't have 4 boyfriends. Like,
well,
stop being a hoe.
She did right. Well, and she did nasty things with one of them in a movie theater. At least one of them in the movie theater. Yeah. So she was trying to get her to just be a lady.
And she didn't want to be lady.
She didn't want to be the slut hoe.
Okay. And I don't know how much like you see on your algorithm, but all these people that have done these interviews that were in jail with her.
Oh, I haven't seen any of those.
So there's one chick, and people say they think that Gypsy just paid her to be like, oh, she was wonderful. She was just kind to everybody, blah, blah, blah. But all the rest of them are like, she thought she was a diva. She was bragging that she had so much money on her books. Her crew was the like lowest of the low in jail. The child predators. That's who she ran with. Yeah. Would disappear with guards.
Shut up.
Yeah, like for periods of time.
Wow.
Had extra stuff like a cell phone and other things nobody else had. Yeah. So it's wild. Yeah. So she was manipulating there too.
Yeah. Wow. I'm blown away by her.
She's a hoe.
She's a slut hoe. The fact that she manipulated all these dudes to do the things that she got them to do.
It's insanity.
It is. It is. She's still in Louisiana. Still live in Louisiana.
I don't think she can move.
Probably part of her probation, parole, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, no. The last thing, Ken's boyfriend that came out a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
Said that she's got another ex lined up.
She's gonna hurt somebody else. Okay, I can't talk about her anymore.
She a hoe.
She freaks me out.
You want to do Am I the A-hole?
Always.
I only got one because there is a million updates, but it's not funny like our bachelorette party.
Okay. Am I the a-hole for jumping out of the way when my niece and nephew tried to push me into a pool, resulting in them falling in? Happened today. My folks decided to host a barbecue because I guess that's what older people do. Wait a minute. I already have... Oh, no, I'm just kidding. I declined because I don't really like my 2 sisters, their husbands, or their kids. Wife and I are child-free. Mom then pressured the wife. Long story short, we went. By the time we arrived, there were about 20 people there. My sisters and their husbands were already solidly buzzed. Drunk, really. My mom was spending 100% of her time trying to keep the nieces and nephews, ages 7 to 11, more or less under control. Dad had strategically retreated to the whirlpool part of the pool with a small cooler full of beers.
Smart man.
I'd be in the hot tub too. Wife and I made small talk with miscellaneous people, ate food, had a frozen margarita. Sisters and brother-in-laws took turns criticizing us for being late, not being in our swimsuits, and screwing up the vibe. Whatever. Typical suburban summer get together. About 45 minutes in, two of the kids ran at one of the neighbor guests who was standing next to the pool and pushed her in. She was at the pool steps, stumbled in but didn't fall, so only got half wet. She was clearly very unhappy about it, but she didn't make a scene, just went over to where the parents were, grabbed their towels, dried herself off, and left. Sisters and brothers-in-law thought it was all great fun. A bit later, I was standing a few feet away from the pool, chatting away with someone. I saw three of the kids running full tilt at me from the corner of my eye. Obviously, I was next. Not that it's outwit young kids, but I just jumped out of their way at the last second. All three of them ran straight into the pool at full speed. Most of the other guests, including my wife and me, started laughing, but their moms, who, as I mentioned, were pretty crap-faced, obviously freaked out. Apparently, two of the kids couldn't swim, even though they were in swimsuits. Since I wasn't in swim gear, I stepped back from the pool and let other people fish the kids out. The kids were bawling their heads off like they'd lost a limb. At that point, everything broke loose. The four drunk parents were yelling at everyone in general, and me in particular, for nearly letting their kids drown. And also because two of the kids had been videoing the trick using their parents' iPhones, which were now at the bottom of the pool. One of my brothers-in-law got into the pool to try to retrieve the phones, but his BMI and BAC made that impossible. No one else volunteered to help. Unsurprising, given that my sisters were still yelling at everyone. I told my sisters it was their job to watch the kids, and that if anything had happened to them, it would have been their responsibility, not mine. There were some pretty strong words on both sides. Wife and I left after the other brother-in-law fell over and face planted while yelling at us. Now they're saying I should have let the little craps knock me into the pool and have their fun and ruin my phone. So, am I the a-hole?
No.
Totally no.
And the parents should have been watching the
You
kids.
should be watching. Nothing will make me crazier than when there's parents somewhere and assume somebody else is going to watch the kid.
Yeah.
Like when you had them.
Yeah.
Unless somebody's like, I got them. You go swim for a minute. I want to play with kids. Like,
yeah,
whatever. That's frustrating to me. Okay, so we agree no.
Yeah.
All right, let's read some updates. Dad, of course, never got out of the whirlpool. Okay, so first, here's one of the updates. First off, my folks tell me that my nieces and nephews are all good swimmers and that they use the pool all the time. The 7-year-old is still a beginner, but he loves the water. My sister said they just couldn't swim, so I'd look bad. To be fair, none of the kids are allowed in the deep end, which is where they fell in. It was the two 10-year-olds and the 9-year-old who tried to push me in the pool. After we left, the party ended on a pretty sour note. My drunk brother-in-law, who face planted while yelling at me, had to go to urgent care and get his face stitched up. He was too toasted to drive, so Dad took him. Dad was not happy. I'm going to insert here. Dad wanted to get back in the hot tub.
Yeah, Dad wanted to get in the hot tub. Like, well,
right.
Now there's blood on my concrete.
Can you just Uber? Late that evening, my sister started a group text and said some pretty nasty crap. Their husbands threw in a few comments as well. Wife and I blocked the four of them. My mom called me. She was pretty upset about what they said. She and Dad were in the chat, and I don't blame her. Because of the text, my folks insisted my sister's brothers-in-law come over the next day, which was a Sunday, without their kids to get some things straight and lay down some ground rules. That was Mom's wording. The result was a contrite, if unenthusiastic, apology from the siblings via my mom's phone. I'm glad my wife was with me when they called. Her hard stares kept me from saying what I wanted to. I just told them thanks and that we felt no need to discuss it further. Okay.
That was very
mature. Yeah.
I mean, I would not have been so.
Right.
Because I'm not.
Right. Since I thought things were settled, I unblocked them. That evening, I got a text from one of the brothers-in-law telling me the phones cost X amount of money and asking when I'd be paying them. WTF, I replied, never, and took a screenshot of his text and forwarded it to my folks with a note that we were done with this nonsense. We were going no contact with the sisters and spouses, and not to invite us to any more holidays or get together if they'll be present. Then I blocked the sisters and their spouses again. Oh, I mean, but I hate it. I get it, but
Well, it sounds like there was like bad blood.
Right.
From
It wasn't
this.
like the first thing
Yeah.
that happened.
Yeah.
At that point, the crap really hit the fan. Dad called them and ripped them a new one. Among other things, he told them the grandkids were not welcome at his place indefinitely. Since my mom regularly provides free babysitting, that got them pretty rattled. He also banned them from using the vacation house and told them my wife and I actually own it, not he and mom. This completely freaked them out. Both of my sisters and families use the place a lot, including having their friends up for weekend getaways. This was very much out of character for my folks. They'd clearly had it. And for reference, I never wanted my sisters to know we owned the place. I bought it for my folks. They'd always wanted a place in the mountains. Keeping the ownership quiet was just a way to avoid drama with my siblings. I mean, I'll be your sibling. I'll watch my kid. I won't cause drama. I can swim. They can push me in the pool. It's fine. Okay, sorry. A couple of days later, my sisters and their husbands came to our place unannounced to apologize in person.
Nope.
We were out to dinner and they left a note. One sister also called me at work too, and I sent her a voicemail. We've decided being no contact is the best thing for the indefinite future and haven't interacted with them for the last 3+ weeks. Personally, I'm done. They can go pound sand.
I agree. Update to the update.
Yeah. It's been an interesting last few days. I thought the stuff had hit the fan before, but that was more of a fart compared to what happened this week. Oh, goodness. For this to make sense, I need to provide some financial context. My folks haven't ever been any good at saving money. I've been doing their taxes for years, so I know everything about them money-wise. Their house is paid for, and they have minimal debt, but they didn't save much for retirement. Both of them get Social Security. Dad gets a solid pension, and they have a bit of savings, but there is no treasure chest in the basement. I bought their current car for them after they retired so they could have something nice to drive in. It was their first car in probably 20 years that they didn't lease. My sisters are convinced the folks are dripping with money and that our parents will be leaving the two of them everything since I don't need any more money. So they've never cared about saving either. Turns out my oldest sister and her husband, they have 3 kids, have been living beyond their means for some time and are in financial straits. They've maxed out credit cards and are behind on their car leases to the point where one's about to get repossessed. He's bragged in the past about making X per year, but it turns out to be about half of that. She confessed all this to Mom on Tuesday. And this was a WTF moment for Mom and Dad, for the last 3 years, instead of staying at the vacation house regularly, she's actually been renting it out once a month or so and pocketing the cash. We're talking 2,000 plus for a weekend and at least 4,000 for a week. With her being cut off from using the place, she's had to cancel one group already. She's now worried they'll lose everything. My folks aren't in any position to give them a loan. Oh, man. Okay, my other sister was aware of her renting out the place, but of course had never said anything. I suspect she's done the same thing as well because I went up there once to drop off an ATV I had worked on, and there was a family there who claimed to be staying there with my sister, her family, that they'd gone to town for something. At the time I let it go, I'd figured she'd loaned out the house to some friends, but I've always wondered. I found all this out through my folks, who are pretty stressed about it. Mom more than Dad. He's mainly just pissed off about it all. I know Dad feels betrayed, and I imagine he's embarrassed that he's in no position to help his daughter out. He did reiterate that as long as it's up to him, the girls won't be using the vacation home anytime soon. My folks let me know again what's going on because they figured my sisters would pull a full court press on me next. They were right. On Thursday, my sisters came to our place again, without husbands this time, and waited outside the door until I got home. I got some crappy story from the older sister with the younger one backing her up regarding I needed to let them use the mountain place again immediately. They also said I've been a crappy brother and that I need to step up and plan on paying for their kids' college tuitions, since that's what family does. I let them pitch their story, then called them out on what my folks had told me. Things went to crap from there. There was denial, crying, cursing, yelling, you name it. I swear my ears are still ringing 2 days later. Won't lie. I said some pretty mean and crappy things to them, but none of it that wasn't true. They finally left after about an hour.
Oh my God.
After that, I took a shower and laid down. When I got up, my wife was home, and her first words that she'd had to block more phone numbers because my sisters were blowing up our phones from new ones. Folks messaged me yesterday asking me to call. I'm sure my sisters have told them some crappy version of what happened, but I'm trying not to rehash it yet. I'm usually pretty energetic, but this drama's made me beaten down. I had just enough energy today to drive up to the vacation house and padlock the entrance gate shut. I'm the only one with a key. I'm guessing that will be enough to ensure my siblings leave the place alone. They'd probably die trying to walk 400 yards uphill to get to the house.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so hold on.
Okay.
renting out the house, even thinking it was the parents' house and renting it out without them
without
knowing is like
permission.
disgusting. Like,
Yeah.
and then
You're gonna pay for my kids' college?
because that's a
To
family. Like, what family
right.
does that?
Not any I know.
Oh my gosh.
Yet another update regarding the cluster that is my extended family. Thought it might be time given what's been going on over the past 2 weeks. After my sisters came to my place, my mom and dad told me that they were done with managing the vacation home. Sounded like the sisters had been pressuring them to let them use the place again. They decided they didn't want to be in the middle of all this crap. While I don't blame them, I'm disappointed because the place was supposed to be something for them to enjoy and hang out, and they use it regularly. Plus, I've never cared that they let my sisters and their family use it because I've really always thought it was my parents' call to make, even though I technically own it. But now my folks are going to be in the position of not having access without me being involved, and that changes the whole dynamic of the place. I've taken several steps to secure the place. I already mentioned I locked the gate, heavy duty chain, and the best lock I could find. I also did a full reset on all the door keypads and created new code. Security cameras got installed. The system cost me way more, but the peace of mind is worth it. The installer also put up signs on the property saying it was monitored by video. Last week, I got several calls in my office from both of the husbands trying to convince me to let them use the house like they always have. The older one had gone up with some friends for a guys' hangout, but couldn't get in because of the gate lock. He was pretty pissed and embarrassed about being locked out. I'm sure he would have broken the lock off it if he could have. During this call, he kept bouncing between pushy and victimhood. At one point, he threatened to rip the gate out of the GD ground. He also admitted they'd been renting it out to a few friends, that they needed the money and I was ruining their quote business and I should refund the guests' money. Me? F that. The other brother-in-law sounded like he was being made to call by my sister. He really didn't put up a fight when I told him not to plan on ever using the place again. Oh my God, I feel sorry for this dude.
So why?
At this point, I'm considering selling the vacation home. Wife and I won't use it enough to justify keeping it, and it's not like there's going to be any family get-togethers there anytime soon. I mentioned selling it to my folks. Their response was pretty much whatever. I'll probably wait for a while to sell. Doing so now would be an emotional decision. My sisters and I currently aren't speaking and have no plans to initiate contact.
Update 4.
Oh, goodness. I hired a guy to manage overlook the vacation home. He has access to my camera feeds and does physical check on the place every week or two. I think he may have the best job in the mountains. He gets paid to drive around with his dog. Sign me up.
Amen.
Walk around the properties, hangs out in people's decks whenever he feels like it. He also has camera feed from a house near the start of the private road that takes still shots whenever a vehicle goes past. Plus, he'll do maintenance and repairs on an hourly basis. He's friends with all the sheriff deputies, too. Got a lot of peace of mind from doing this. I had to brag a bit on my parents. I got all this from them tonight at dinner. They were getting pressure from my sisters to demand that I open the vacation house to everyone for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving up there had become quite the tradition for my family, not for me or my wife. We've gone once in 7 years. Dad refused to bother me about it because he knew I'd say no. They came up with what I think is a great plan. Announced that they were organizing Thanksgiving gathering, and if everyone can split the cost in advance, they rent an Airbnb in the mountains. Otherwise, they'd host Thanksgiving at their place, or one of the sisters could host it. This caused a fight between the sisters because the oldest one doesn't have any money. The deadline to commit has passed, so it looks like Thanksgiving will be at my parents' place. Regardless, we won't be there. My parents have asked that we will not sell the place for now. They decided they'd still like to use it occasionally, but not until my sisters have come to terms with the new norm. Both sisters have called from new numbers, FU Google Voice, and left messages insisting that I meet with them for our parents' sake to work out how everyone can use the vacation home.
That's all they're concerned about.
That's what keeps going through my mind is there's never... Let's get back to what started this. And
let's be brother and sister.
Right. I was glad I was already in the habit of not answering calls if I don't recognize the number. I don't care if they're delusional or if they think they can bully me into giving them access. Don't really care. My parents tell me that the oldest sister and husband are getting out of the leases for their SUVs and a big truck and are selling their jet skis and some other crap they've never needed. That's going to be really hard on her. She's quite the braggart and won't like being seen in something older, smaller, cheaper. My brother-in-law's identity is very much wrapped up in his truck as well. He has a small tattoo of the truck's company logo, which frankly is one of the many reasons he and I never hung out. Sorry, this rambles. So much has happened. Hard to write coherently. I need to take a drink of my water.
Yes. So much has happened.
Things have gone to HE double hockey sticks.
This would have been after Thanksgiving then, because it's November 27th.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's after Thanksgiving.
Short version, my brothers-in-law broke into my vacation home and were arrested. Oh my gosh. They've been charged with breaking and entering, destruction of property, and communicating threats, all class 1 misdemeanors. I refuse to drop the charges. I might do so if I'm fully paid for the damage they caused. They were still in jail as of Saturday evening, I assume, and they're out by now. What? Things had settled down, or at least I thought so. Haven't seen or heard from my sisters in over 6 weeks. Parents went up to the house for a week, had a good time. David, the property manager, has worked out great. He's done a couple repairs I asked him to do, and I've given him a list of things to work on. Friday after Thanksgiving, my brothers-in-law went to my vacation home. They used an angle grinder to cut through the chain on the driveway gate and damage the gate in the process. Those are not cheap. Those are not cheap. They tried to get in through the front door, ruined the lock set, and gouged the door badly. They finally got in through the utility floor door and a locked internal door. They also broke into the barn, I'm not sure why. They then went out through the front door where they were met by sheriff's deputies and David. David gets notifications from the camera system, so he saw what was going on and called the sheriff's department. Good for David.
Mm-hmm.
According to David, the brothers-in-law tried to BS their way out of it, but the deputies didn't buy it. Breaking into an empty house is a pretty serious thing up here. When the brothers-in-law were arrested, they freaked out big time, were saying how they were going to beat the crap out of me, etc. Not smart to do in front of cops. David in the sheriff's office tried calling my wife and me to see what we wanted to do, but we were spending the day with her parents and had left our phones in the car so we could be in vacation mode. So they booked the brothers-in-law on everything, which is what I would have asked them to do anyway. Brothers-in-law called their wives from jail, who of course freaked out. They called my folks, tried to call me, they're blocked. Tried to find a lawyer up there to arrange bail. It was not easy to do given it's a rural area and was a holiday weekend. Older sister has zero cash in her cards and Max, so if they made bail, my middle sister would have had to pay for both husbands. I know they're still in jail as of Saturday afternoon. We didn't check our phones until late Friday on the way home from the in-laws. There was a ton of calls and messages from Mom, Dad, David, and the sheriff's department. Talk about ruining a great day. I was in such a good mood until I looked at my phone. My wife read through the text and listened to the message, read them to me, and by the time we got home, I had some idea of what was going on. I put my brain back into thinking mode, trying to get past my anger, and failed. Called David, got the rundown of what happened and how bad the damage was, resulting in more anger. Poor dude. This has just turned into a freaking mess. Okay. I ended Friday by calling the sheriff's department, telling them there was no misunderstanding. The brothers-in-law had absolutely no right to be on my property, and I wanted to press charges. I didn't call my folks back, barely slept. I waited until Saturday afternoon to call my folks. They were both pretty rattled, my mom in particular. My sisters had browbeat them into telling me I should tell the cops it was all a mistake and that I wanted the charges dropped. I refused flat out and told them there was no way I'd do that until I spoke with an attorney and also not until I was paid in full or whatever it cost to fix everything 100%. My mom was crying hard by the time we got off the phone, for which of course made me feel like crap. My dad suggested it was time for a complete start over, but also said he thought they needed to pay for the damage.
Start over for what? Like,
yeah, he just wants to get back in the hot tub. I haven't gone up to the property yet. There's nothing I can do, and I'll probably go nuts when I see the damage in person. The photos are bad enough. I'm hoping to go tomorrow or Wednesday, but my job isn't one I can just wander off for non-emergencies. I've left messages with 2 attorney friends asking them to recommend the right lawyer or lawyers to go after my sisters and brothers-in-law. I don't know what I can do exactly, but I'm hoping to get restraining orders. I have all the texts they've sent me that might help. I'm strongly considering suing them for the money they made renting the place. I don't care about the cash, but I'll make them as miserable as possible.
see, he's like part of our crew. He's a petty Betty.
The gloves are definitely off at this point. A couple of side notes. Brothers-in-law had no idea I'd hired someone to keep an eye on the things, or that the cameras are there now. My parents, right, with the said monitored by video surveillance. There are signs on the property stating it's being monitored with cameras and no trespassing signs. My wife has completely had it at this point. I don't blame her. She's been more patient about it than I, but she has reached her limit. I was not shy about letting me know. She told me it's up to me how I deal with it, but she thought they all needed to be taught a hard lesson. Older brother-in-law likely won't face any repercussions at his job, but brother-in-law has security clearance, so he might. I'm hoping that'll be motivation for middle brother-in-law to pay for the damages himself immediately. I don't want to see or speak to any of these a-holes for the rest of my life. I know this is in direct conflict with my overwhelming urge to make their lives as miserable as possible. Oh my gosh, final update. Thursday afternoon, I got a courier delivered envelope at my office. It was a signed letter from both my brothers-in-law and a cashier's check for $5,000. In the letter, they made what I have to say was a sincere apology. Among other things, they acknowledged breaking in, that it was wrong, said the $5,000 was to pay for damage, and they'd pay more if it cost more than that. Also said they stay away from the vacation home unless my wife and I specifically invited them. They also asked me to do what I could to get the charges dropped as soon as possible because they could both lose their jobs. And they'd agreed to a restraining order or whatever else it took. To say this was a shock is an understatement. It was a 180 from their past behavior. I'd already made an appointment with an attorney to see about suing my brothers-in-law over the damage and try to get a restraining order. I called him and told him what I just received. We met for about 2 hours. He ended up recommending the wife and I do a, quote, settlement and mutual release agreement with all 4 of them, sisters and brothers-in-law. He's drawing up the agreement, won't be ready till Monday. The agreement will include what's essentially the civil equivalent of a restraining order. On Friday, my attorney contacted each of the brothers-in-law, told them what we were proposing, advised them to get their own lawyers. They both agreed. The middle brother-in-law told him they could afford to either pay for the damages or pay for a lawyer, but not both.
Not his problem.
Right. And they figured a lawyer wouldn't make any difference given they had no defense for what they did. His biggest concern was the charges being dropped. From what I can tell, they're willing to do anything, sign anything to make this go away. He's also advised me to continue to be no contact with them, especially for the next 6 months, that it will be really important to follow the terms of the agreement when it comes to future interactions with them. I don't think he's the problem with the contact. I'm guessing that the brothers-in-law change of heart is due to them having figured out what's at stake, what's going to cost them in legal fees, fines, so on. There's also the highly unlikely possibility they could go to jail for up to 120 days. This is their Hail Mary pass to keep their normal lives. What I want most at this point is to close this off, get on with my life, never speak to them again. I'm exhausted with this. Wife feels the same way. Tuesday morning, I met with my attorney went over the agreement, changed a couple of minor things, and he sent it to my sisters and brothers-in-law and included a requirement they pay my attorney's fee, which is $3,000. They weren't happy about that and tried to negotiate away, but he told them either accept it or there would be no deal, and we'd all proceed with suing them for the money they got renting out of the place, wear and tear from renting it, costs from their break-in, emotional distress, lost income for having to deal with this, attorney fees, and whatever else we could. He told them I'd push hard with the DA's office to prosecute every charge. Short version, they came in and signed. I wasn't there. I was told it was a pretty tense environment, that the middle brother-in-law appeared to have taken charge, and at one point he told both of my sisters to shut the H up, or he was walking away from the whole thing, making his own deal with us, and the rest of them could just go to H. They provided another cashier's check, $2,500, claimed that's all they had. It's close enough that we're going to accept it as final payment. Attorney also told me everyone was very cold and cut towards one another, but they all managed to keep it together long enough to sign and left without making too big of a scene. I drove up to the vacation house early yesterday to check out the damage and meet with the DA's office. Seeing the damage made my blood boil. It was so senseless. I was so pissed that I was ready to eat the cost of the repairs and do everything I could to ruin their lives. Tried walking it off, failed utterly. Ended up calling a good friend who was kind enough to stay on the phone for over an hour, letting me spew and vent. He eventually got me back to focusing on the bigger picture of putting this behind me and getting on with my life. Honestly, I'm still not sure that's what I want to do, but I settled down enough to get some food in me and I felt better. He was hangry.
And a Snickers.
He needed a Snickers. After lunch, I went to the DA's office. They're willing to drop it except for the charges of trespassing, which in this case will be a Class 2 misdemeanor. The brothers-in-law will have to plead guilty and pay whatever fine the judge sets. I'm also told if they fight the trespassing charge or ever so much as fart in public, they will all go very poorly for them. Posting about all of this and reading through responses has been really helpful, but has probably been key in being able to handle this in a relatively healthy way. So thank you all again. Oh my Lanta.
So apparently the sisters are now fighting because I'm sure.
Oh, everybody hates each other now.
Yeah. But sisters now hate each other. Brother-in-laws
Right.
don't like each other.
And the one brother-in-law at least hates his wife because they're all a-holes.
But could you not see that? Like, well, he made me go up there. Like the older brother-in-law. Like,
Yeah.
it's not my fault.
Yeah. Well, and it goes back to the very, very beginning where it's your fault that the kids fell in the pool and they can't swim.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, these people
are horrible. You just need to let us use it. No.
There was never even, my kids are jerks.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry. Can I take you to lunch for a little apology?
Yeah.
I was having a bad day. I was hangry.
Yeah.
None of that.
Yeah. Or just use the alcohol. I was drunk. I'm so sorry. Like it
Right.
was out of hand. I'm sorry.
Right.
No. It was, you're wrong. I'm right. You owe me money for my phone that my kids ruined because they were being jerks, and I was allowing it.
Right. And then they broke into this house.
Don't you want to see the footage?
Totally.
I want to see if they're drunk.
Sort of like those drunk raccoons.
They were doing shots like as they were walking up.
I mean, okay, so they didn't see the signs. Okay. Big chain link lock.
They hacked through.
That they hacked through. And then the doors that they busted down. Oh my gosh.
And then he said there's more damage too.
I'm mad for this guy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Oh, crazy pants.
That he should pay for their college.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Crazy pants.
Yeah. And those poor parents.
I know. It sucks. Family, you're not always going to agree with what people do. I just can't imagine cutting people out of my life.
I can, because I have.
Yeah.
So I understand.
Yeah.
That but your quality of life.
Yeah.
Sometimes has to be considered.
It does. It does. You're right. It does. And I guess it just depends on which side of the coin you're in, or on rather. But it's just like this dude. I don't blame him. These people are nothing but greedy leeches.
Off with their head.
Off with their head. Yeah, I feel really bad for this dude.
I do too. And he in no way is wrong. Like,
no. And he tried.
But you know what? Not that I would believe the sisters like at all, because they just
Right.
sound like they're freaking horrible. But
I'm
I want to know. I want to see like a video of them like giving the story. Do you know in like Real Housewives they have the confessionals?
It's probably like that.
Confessional.
It's probably that. Jeez.
Yeah. Like I'm all in. I want to know.
The more I read about this, the more like they took so much advantage of this dude.
I feel like this middle sister's husband is level-headed because he did not really get involved much. Like,
Yeah.
He didn't put up a fight the first time around calling. The sister made him call.
Yeah.
And he was just like, okay, cool, sorry. And like hung up.
Yeah.
And that's the one that was like, everybody can shut up or else I'm making my own deal and you all can like go kick rocks.
And I'm sure that this dude here, I'm sure he's not perfect.
No, I'm sure. But it sounds like he's the black sheep of the family. Like, the sisters were probably like super close growing up, and like they were like, I'm picturing like cheerleaders. Like,
yeah.
Super annoying. Like
I was picturing some of the sisters from Bridgerton. Did you watch Bridgerton?
Mm-hmm.
I was picturing Penelope's sisters and like their husbands. Did they tell their husbands everything to do?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm picturing.
Yeah, I'm picturing like almost like in Mean Girls,
Oh yeah.
Like the clique.
Yeah.
Like those are the sisters. The older sister has a meathead husband that's just like, meat man, you do what I say.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
The second
Guido.
Yeah.
Almost.
The second husband is your average dude, and he's just like, dude, like this is too much drama. I'm a guy. Why are we doing this?
Right.
Just shut up. Like is how I see it.
I want to know the conversation between the two brothers-in-law when they're like, let's go to the house. Yes. And how did they have a saw?
How far away was it from all of their houses as well?
Right.
Like, is it like an hour, 2 hours?
Right. How far did they drive? And how did this
plotted?
How much? Because I don't carry a saw in my car. Brian doesn't. Do you?
No. Maybe.
So it sounds. Oh, take that out.
The day.
So I mean, they were a little prepared to break into this place.
No, it was premeditated.
Oh, I feel sorry for this dude.
Yeah.
Well, if you're looking to someone who you want to let use your vacation home,
we are available.
Won't break in, won't cause damage.
Our kids aren't buttheads.
No, we won't even take them.
No. That's what I like to hear, girl. Yeah.
Oh, geez, that was heavy.
That was a lot. It was a lot.
It made me emotional.
It made me angry.
Yes.
Like
angry and sad.
No, just angry.
You're not sad.
No, I'm not sad at all. Like I'd be thinking of like ways to get them back.
So
I would have gone to their house and like broke their doors. and accidentally their kid got hit with a board as the door is flying off. Oh well. All right, let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening. Please like, follow on all socials, and please subscribe. Tell your friends. They will love us. I promise.
They will. No doubt. No diggity. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.